it's Whaea Fiona here. I spoke to Whaea Debbie this morning and she asked if I would do a video for you guys, just so we could keep in touch while we're all in lockdown and there's no school, well, online school only. And so I thought that would be quite fun. I've been having a look at the Google Doc and of all the things that Whaea Debbie's added to it that you've sent her, all your pictures and your videos. I can see we've got a few budding TV presenter stars in the mix. And it seems like everyone's working really, really well at home, which is so awesome. I was amazed to see how amazingly well Whaea Debbie is at being a TV presenter. She's just like a professional, and I just thought she was sensational. So I thought, well, I better give it a go. I don't want to be the only one like not doing a video or doing online learning. So bit of a learning curve for me. But I thought, given that this week we've got ANZAC Day on Saturday, I thought it would be a really cool thing if we made some ANZAC biscuits together. You don't have to do it exactly while I'm doing it on the video, but if you like to watch what I do, and then maybe you could do it with somebody inside your bubble, if you've got the right ingredients. So no pressure, but it could be quite a fun thing to do at home. So I'm here in my kitchen. I've got some things that I've prepared earlier because I like to be an organised cook. And I've got the recipe for ANZAC biscuits, which I've written down in my book here. It was too small for me to keep reading it on the back of the packet of oats, which is where I found this recipe. I've got some Pam's rolled oats here, and on the back, if you get these from the Foursquare, on the back they actually have the recipe for ANZAC biscuits, but I'll try and put that in a doc thing and get Whaea Debbie to attach it to our page so that you can all get it whenever you want it. So the first thing it says for us to do, well, the first thing anybody ever does when they're cooking is gets their oven up to temp before they need to put their stuff in. So, well, actually the very first thing you do is wash your hands. I just washed my hands really well before I started the video, so my hands are nice and clean, no germs here. The oven needs to go up to 150 on bake, so you might need to just get mum or dad to double check that you've actually got that on the right temperature, because you wouldn't want to burn your ANZAC biscuits. Nothing worse than a burnt ANZAC biscuit. The first thing we need is to get our ingredients. After we've turned our oven on and washed our hands, we need to get our ingredients out. This recipe calls for some rolled oats, which I just showed you before, some plain flour, which I know has been a little bit hard to find in the Foursquare recently, but hopefully some of you have got some flour just in the cupboard from before the lockdown, or you've managed to get some at the supermarket or the Foursquare while the lockdown was on. So you need 1 cup of rolled oats and 1 cup of plain flour. Now I've actually already put my rolled oats and my plain flour in here. The next thing I put in was 1/2 cup of brown sugar. So it doesn't really matter. If you haven't got brown sugar, you could just use raw sugar or white sugar, but brown sugar is just a little bit better. It gives it that really nice taste. So I've put my 1/2 cup of brown sugar in there, and then I put in 1/4, so there's 1 whole cup. Well, this one is 1/4, because there's 4 of these and 1 of these. So 1/4 of a cup of desiccated coconut. So that's the small coconut, because you can actually get coconut that's in bigger, chunkier bits. So I've put 1/4 cup of coconut into my bowl, and those are my dry ingredients all ready to go. So I can give them a little mix around, if I can find my wooden spoon. Here it is. Here's my wooden spoon, here's my dry ingredients, and I'm just going to give those a really good mix around so that there's no lumps, there's no, everything's mixed together really nicely, so that when we put our wet ingredients in, that it all goes quite nicely together, and then we'll have some really nice ANZAC biscuits to eat at the end of it. So I've got a few lumps in my brown sugar that just need a bit of a pummel. In fact, it's a shame you guys aren't here, because then I could say, here, stir this. Anyway, The next thing we need is 125 grams of butter or canola. It actually says canola spread on the recipe, but I just used butter. I had some butter in the fridge, so I got what I thought looked like about 125 grams. If you look on your butter, it's got little segment marks, and each one is worth 50. So if you do 2.5, that's the same as 125 grams. To double check, I put it in my scales, which are electronic, and they measured how much butter I had, and it was actually 124 grams, close enough. So I popped that in the saucepan because we actually have to melt that down with some yummy golden syrup. Now we needed 2 tablespoons of golden syrup. As you can see, it's still a little bit in there, and I didn't lick it with my tongue or touch it with my finger because we're cooking and we shouldn't do that till the end. So I poured in my 1 tablespoon, put it into my saucepan here, 2nd tablespoon, put it into the saucepan here, let it all dribble off the spoon, and then put this to one side. And I have melted that. I don't know if I can get you to see what that looks like all melted up. Probably not, but anyway, that's all melted and runny, and I'm going to pour that into my mixture when I need to boil the kettle, because the next thing we need is 1 teaspoon of baking soda, which is different from baking powder. A lot of recipes use baking powder. This one uses baking soda. Now I've got a little jar here, and that's full of baking soda, so we just need 1 teaspoon. And I have got a teaspoon here, that says 1 teaspoon, and we need 1 of those in a container. So I'm just going to get a jug out. And I've got a jug here that I'm going to put 1 teaspoon of baking soda in. And it needs to be really flat across the top, because that would exactly be 1 teaspoon. So I'm just going to knock that into there. And then on top of the 1 teaspoon, we actually need to put 2 tablespoons. So this one, 2 tablespoons of boiling water. So if we, I'll just get a clean tablespoon there. I've boiled the kettle, so I'll just re-boil that so it's really, really boiling. And I don't know if you can hear it or not, but I've got the school songs on my Spotify, and I've been having a little bit of a dance around my kitchen. So we've got a tablespoon here. We need 2 tablespoons of boiling water into the 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and then we need to give that a little stir with a spatula and pour it into our butter and golden syrup. So my kettle's just about boiled. And actually, if I come over here a bit, you'll be able to see it better. You might need to be a little bit careful with the boiling water. Maybe get mum or dad or whoever's helping you to give you a little bit of a hand, because you've got to be super careful around stuff that's really hot, like boiling water. So maybe I think an adult should help you do this little bit. Okay, here we are. That is boiling, so I'm going to be very careful here and hold my jug over my container, and it's fizzing up because that's what soda water does. And then when we pour our soda water into our butter and our golden syrup, it will foam up a little bit, get all a little bit foamy, and then we can put that into our flour and coconut and brown sugar mixture. So we're going to put that in and give it a really good stir. I tell you who's probably going to be very good at making these, and this will be Phoebe, because I know how much she loves cooking with Claire, And I'd imagine, I'm thinking Elsa probably will post a bit of a video of herself maybe cooking ANZAC biscuits. You never know. It's a bit of a budding TV presenter there. So I'm just mixing that up really well. And then the next step of the recipe actually says, so you've got to stir your mixture, stir it all up, and then you'll need to get a bit of space and get your oven trays out. I've already got my oven trays out. I put a little bit of baking paper on them so that the biscuits don't stick to them, but you could just, if you haven't got baking paper, you could just put a little bit of butter over the top of the tray to make it nice and slippery so you can get your biscuits off when you're ready to eat them. So we'll just get this out of the way. I think that they make it look a bit easier than this on television, but anyway, MasterChef, eat your heart out. So I've got my mixture there. I don't know if you can, oh yep, you can see that. So that's got all the oats and the coconut and everything in it, and it's all mixed up really nicely. There's no lumps. And then what you've got to do is you've got to get your tablespoon and your oven trays. Now this recipe makes about 30, and I know room 2 know how to count up to 30. So I've got a big oven tray and I've got a little oven tray, so I'm going to put 12 on the little oven tray, and I'm going to put 18 on the big oven tray, and space them out really well so that when they cook, because they sort of melt down and then they spread out, that they won't crash into each other and make one ginormous biscuit with a bit of luck. So I'm just going to put the tablespoon like that, quite level, and that way you'll get lots and lots of yummy biscuits, not there we are, not too big and not too small. So it should just fall out of your tablespoon quite nicely. I can almost hear you guys licking your lips already. And we'll just put them all on the tray like that. Actually, I'm just going to you can touch the mixture with your hands as long as they're clean, and plonk it down on the tray. And actually I'm going to make this, I'm going to change my mind and make this, I'm going to do 10 on this tray, and hopefully it'll give me, oh look, there's the get up to me, 2-step, and we'll pop that in there. And they don't have to be that neat because they do sort of melt down when they're in the oven, and you have to cook them for about 15 minutes or until they look really golden and yummy and nicely spread out. I wonder how many of you have done cooking at home during the lockdown as part of your online learning, or just as part of a thing that your parents have done with you. It looks like we've got a few parents in room 2 who would actually make very good teachers. I think Josiah Lee's mum's got some lovely writing that she's put in Josiah Lee's book, and Josiah Lee's been doing some awesome looking work. And Jed, I love the fact that I think your mum's got pretty awesome writing. All that stuff you've got up on the wall, it's pretty amazing. And a very cute dog. I thought maybe next Friday we could go and meet the goats, but that would have to be on my cell phone, and hopefully they won't eat it. But I'll see what I can do. pretty sure they'll be quite keen. Now, starting to get a little bit low on the mixture, so hopefully I haven't made my tablespoons too big. It doesn't have to make 30, it can just make however many it makes. But you do need to make sure your biscuits are around about the same size, otherwise some will cook quicker than others, and then some might be like a bit burnt and some might be a bit raw in the middle, and that wouldn't really be that great. So, well, I don't think we've got 30 here. Let's see how many we've actually got. There we go. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 10 on that tray. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we've got 15 on this tray. So if we put this tray and this tray together, how many have we got? I wonder if you can work it out. We'll count them at the end. Anyway, I'm just going to wipe my hands, if I can find my cloth. Here it is. And then we're ready to put, we're ready to lick the bowl. I might let Pat lick that later. We're ready to put our trays in the oven. Now you might need somebody to give you a hand doing this too, because the oven's hot and you need to be really careful, even more careful when you're actually taking them out of the oven. So here's my oven. And I'll just move that so you can see what I'm doing. It's all heated up. It's come up to temp because the light's gone off. So I'm just going to put the biscuits in now. I'm going to put this tray, the large tray down the bottom, in there really carefully, and the smaller tray on the top, and I'm just going to close it. Now it says here bake for 15 minutes, so I'm going to put my timer on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I've got my timer set for 15 minutes, and hopefully at the end of 15 minutes our biscuits will be ready and they will be delicious. So watch this space. Hi guys, well, nearly 15 minutes has gone past while I paused you, and it's starting to smell delicious around here. So when the timer goes off, I'll check that they're cooked, but I'm just going to get my airing rack ready, so when the biscuits have cooled down a bit we can put them on the airing rack and they can fully cool down, and then I can put them away. Oh, there goes the timer now. So let's just move that camera. Oh, look, see? Okay, turn that little alarm off. I put This Girl Is On Fire is on my Spotify. Quinn might be listening to it now and singing, maybe. Oh, look at these. Yumbo. Now, you need a bit of help getting those out of the oven because that tray is really hot. And actually, I'm just going to double my tea towel over. Oh, look at those. Now, let's see. We just need to turn that oven right off because we don't need it anymore. And I'll just leave that open so that it can air. Now, did you manage to work out how much 10 plus 15 was? What do you reckon the answer is? I think it's probably 25. Shall we check? Excellent. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So 10 plus 15 equals 25. Now, I'll just get my airing rack. Here we go. And I'm going to put one there and one down there. And then I'm going to get my little metal spatula, if I can find it. Oh yeah, there it is. This is a good way of getting biscuits off the tray without actually burning your fingers off, which is quite important because you might need them later. So I'm just going to shift the bickies over to the airing rack so they can properly cool down. And then I can put them in a container and we can start eating them. Yum-y. So guys, hopefully your cooking of ANZAC biscuits goes really well. Remember to think about all the soldiers that served in all the wars and helped protect New Zealand is really important, and I'll look forward heaps to seeing all of the work you're going to do for the rest of this week and next week. I'm going to be watching the videos and looking at the photos and seeing all that lovely work you've been putting up, and I'm going to be keeping in touch with Whaea Debbie, and maybe next week on Friday we'll have another video of me doing something exciting. So in the meantime, stay safe, stay in your bubble, stay home, don't forget wash your hands lots, use your cough pocket, and have lots of fun with your online learning. Ka kite!